How you doing, guys?
Quake, how's it going, mate?
We
All
are
good. All
excellent. Let's
good.
begin at the Etihad, shall we? Live commentary. Game day begins there for Man City Everton. And each week you're like, surely they can't lose it. And I really feel it today. Surely they can't. Surely Everton can't turn up and think we can do a job on them.
I don't know. Everton, in the last two fixtures, Arsenal and Chelsea got draws in them. I know there were very, very boring games. There were two nil-nil draws. But I'm like you, Max. Every single Man City game, like this is the game they turn it around. But losing nine out of their last 12, it's nobody could have imagined that. Pep Guardiola's been speaking this week about them possibly missing out on Champions League football, and you would have never expected that at the beginning of the season. They are devoid of any confidence, and you don't know where the goals are going to come from. You don't know where the creative sparks are going to come from. Erling Haaland's goals were dried up. De Bruyne's in and out of the starting lineup, and Everton have only lost two of their last 12 Premier League matches. Granted, all three of those victories in those 12 games have come against sides that are below them in the table, but this is going to be a tough game for City.
Quake, they remind Man City, I've said it before, when Mike Tyson used to smash everybody when he was a young boxer on the scene, and then he was invincible, thought, oh, this is an alien, he's not human, gets beat by Buster Douglas, and then everybody thinks, actually, you're infallible, and I can beat you up. This is Man City, trust me, are punch drunk. They are, Pep Guardiola has never been in this position to set his team up, not to get beat and be difficult to break down. He doesn't know any other way to play. And physically, I think they've gone. If you don't match Everton physically, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, no,
That's the truth. I said that. I said, carry on, Quite. I'll ask you this question. I said this last week to you, I think, about Aston Villa's midfield, right? Which I just thought they will just overrun City. And the question is, can Everton's do that?
Yeah, well, it's a lack of physicality that's defined City this season. From being not just mentality monsters, but physical monsters. You look at their midfield week in, week out, and it looks weak. And like I say, Everton have pulled out some decent results against Chelsea and Arsenal in recent weeks. Obviously, their midfield is physical with Gay in there, Decore, Mangala. So they will give City problems. And I don't think it's a guarantee City get all 3 points. I'm actually going for a draw in this one.
Let's look at the 3 o'clock live game on talkSPORT, and we've got the pick of all of them, and they've gone for Forest v Spurs, which I think is fascinating, Kweku, because we'll obviously have the same conversation that you have when you're asking Andrew a question or whether you're talking about it, about what Spurs do. We know how they're going to try and play, and the way Forest are set up, we saw how they beat Liverpool at Anfield. It's sort of perfect to play Spurs, I think.
Yeah, and the thing about Forest is that they are one of the most conventional teams in the league. It's a classic 4-2-3-1. Midfielders that do their jobs. The number 10 that creates for the striker, Chris Wood, who's banging in goals. They didn't even need Chris Wood last week against Brentford. They won the game convincingly 2-0. And they're sitting fourth in the Premier League for a reason. It's not, I think we can now get past the stage where we think it's a spell for Forest. They're just a very, very good team. And this is Nuno redemption as well. Think about the narrative when he was sacked by Spurs. It was he's done. He went to the Middle East. He's come back. He's found a club that was in disarray in terms of off the field. They're a bit up and down. And now you look at this Forest team, and they're one of the best teams in the Premier League because they've got very good players, and the manager is bringing out the best in those players. For Spurs, it's not even funny anymore. I know that.
That is.
Yeah,
Every other
Even as
fan
a Spurs
finds it
fan,
funny.
It is quite funny.
It is.
I've got to say, it is funny.
The Liverpool game was just ridiculous. Like, how ridiculous is a football match going to get? I know the game against United in the Cup was silly. The game against Chelsea in the league was silly. But that 6-3, when's it going to stop? And I know that Andrews isn't going to change his style of football, and you don't expect him to. I don't think it's incumbent on the manager to change his principles. If it's not working, it's incumbent on the board to change the manager. But it gets to a point where you look at this football and you realize it's not sustainable to achieve the things that Spurs fans want to achieve. And I think today they get beaten by Nottingham Forest.
Quake, I was at the game, lucky enough to be there for talkSPORT, and I've got a big up, and this really pains me, right? The Spurs fans were unbelievable. There was a few little murmurings like at half-time. Halfway through the second half, they were 5-1 down. I've never heard a home crowd start singing and being positive for their team. Honestly, It was like, when you look at each other, when you're doing the show, and you think, am I hearing right here? So I think they're trying, and Angie says we've got to, all buy in together with this. The only thing that they don't do is, which you said, I saw the back four warming up, and the coach took the back four. So he was walking towards them. So when he walked towards them, they dropped off. And then when he ran away from them, they pushed up, right? But Spurs never drop off. All they ever do, that's all they ever do is push up. They didn't do, I was looking at it thinking, I noticed Gray and Dragusin were like centre halves, right? And you're thinking, well, you've actually got to drop off And all Liverpool did is Szoboszlai, Forest have runners from deep. Szoboszlai just kept running from deep and getting himself into the 18-yard box.
Yeah, it's silly.
I pray because I'm obviously I've been brainwashed, right, because Australian football fans absolutely love.
That's what we do, mate.
Right? He is exactly, and also because they've got Sam Kerr in the women's game, but in the men's game there are no Galactico Australians right now. So he is the absolute shining light of Australian men's football. And he has had success everywhere he's been. And I know you know Celtic is a slightly different thing, but in Japan and Australia, and I think English football fans just go, well, it doesn't really count. I mean, it still counts. You've still got to win those leagues and play those games. He's played this football always. And Spurs have been garbage for like how long? Let's try this for 3 years. Let it play out. Let's see what happens. How this team go when these young players develop, when the players come back from injury. Maybe this football can't succeed in the Premier League. That is possible.
You won't win the league.
I'd rather see for 3 years than sacking him and getting someone else and having another bad 18 months. I think you're probably right, Perry. You're unlikely to win the league. But then Tottenham's budget is what, the 6th or 7th?
But the thing is, he wins a trophy. He always says, doesn't he, second season, mate, I win a trophy.
Yeah.
There's every chance. I know you got, obviously, Liverpool in the League Cup, and then you've got the FA Cup coming up at Tamworth, which is going to be quite funny. It's going to be a good watch. And then, obviously, Europa. There's every chance Spurs are the archetypal cup team. That's, you know what I mean? Because you don't need to be consistent to win a cup.
Yeah.
No, if you agree,
I just love to see it. I don't know if you think Kweku. I just love to see and get enough time, enough transfer windows to try this. Because while it's happening, it's really entertaining.
They've given themselves a great opportunity to go out there and win a trophy this year. I think for Spurs fans, that's what they want. Spurs fans want entertaining football and to win a trophy. If you think about the football under Antonio Conte and the mood amongst Spurs fans, it was dismal. When Ange picked up this team, they were on their knees. Last season, it was a great first season. And this season, like you mentioned, Perry, the atmosphere in the stadium hasn't turned toxic yet because the football is decent football. But I just don't know how sustainable it is. And if you start getting turned over, it's fair enough if it's a big team like Liverpool, if it's a team like Chelsea, if it's a team like Manchester United even. When you start getting turned over by these teams that are mid-table, bottom half of the table teams, then that's when things start to change. So let's see how things go. But Spurs fans seem to be fairly content with it, so let's ride it out.
Do you know what frightens me as a Gooner? That you win your semi-final, we win our semi-final, and it's the North London Derby League Cup, right? That's somewhere that you don't want to go. Trust me.
Yeah, but Arteta didn't have a great, it took him a while, to Klopp a while, etc. You never know. Anyway, Kweku, look, we had 8 games, we've done 2, but that's all we've got time for. Blame Perry, his go-get-it's just took forever.
Sorry.
Cheers, pal. Cheers, pal.
Have
a good Boxing Day. Kweku Afari there.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.